All right, guys. It's been a few hours, and our glacier has melted. Obviously, in the real life, the glaciers take a long time to melt, and we call retreat. They usually melt from lower down in the lower elevations first, and they sort of back up the mountain. They don't actually move up the mountain; they just move. They just melt more at the bottom and at the top, or sort of further south. If it's one of those glaciers that covers an entire continent, they usually melt sooner in the more sort of near the equator areas than in the other parts. But anyway, long story short, what we'll notice here is that this is the valley where the glacier had been before, and it moved down, and then it sort of ended up here. And you'll notice at this end, you'll see that there's a whole mess of sediment, and there's rocks, and there's all kinds of little bits and pieces of things. And that's where the glacier had sort of stopped, and it had left behind a bunch of sediments. And this is something we're going to talk about in future lessons. But glaciers often leave behind large piles of sediment as they move, but also after they retreat or melt, they leave behind lots of sediment that are pretty darn important, especially in Massachusetts. And we'll talk about that in a future lesson.